I've hosted over 300 group coaching calls online, inside my own programs, on Rob Dial's team, and in some of the top coaching programs online. But I'll never forget how overwhelming it can feel when you're running your first session on Zoom. What do I say? How do I use breakout rooms? What if the tech fails? In this episode, I'm giving you a full step-by-step playbook that's going to help you confidently host a powerful coaching session, even if you're not tech savvy. Plus my exact session structure that keeps clients engaged and coming back for more. Let's make sure that your next group session runs like a pro-level experience, because that's where the real transformation starts with your clients. Hosting your first group call, it can feel intimidating, especially if you're not tech savvy and you've never really used Zoom before, but with the right structure, tools, and flow, you can run a powerful, professional group coaching session that makes your clients feel seen, heard, supported, and they're actually excited to show up again and again. I'm going to break down the 3 phases to hosting a group session where you're going to feel like a natural pro. So phase 1 is the pre-call setup. This is making sure that you have the Zoom setup basics dialed in so that it's a smooth and efficient process with you and your clients. So this means that you're using the same Zoom link for all of your group coaching sessions moving forward, and that the passcode is embedded in that link. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I'm definitely going to recommend that you have the pro version of Zoom, because if you don't, it's going to cut off your meeting at 45 minutes. But this is how you set up a reoccurring Zoom meeting link that has the passcode inside of it. And by the way, it took me way too long to figure out how to do this. So listen up. So follow with me step by step to have yours set up too. So go to the schedule button here. This is how you schedule a meeting. So I would name this your group coaching with your name. Okay. Then from here, what we're going to do is put this as a reoccurring meeting. The reoccurrence is going to be no fixed time. And as you see, that just deleted a lot of the other things that we could have had to do. We want there to be a waiting room, and we don't need authentication to join. Nope. Host, participant. In regards to video, the host can be off, the participants can be on. And then we want to show advanced settings. Allow participants to join anytime. Yes. Mute participants upon entry. Yes. So that's it. From this point, what we're going to do is we're going to press save. Then on the next page, you're going to see that it gives us this invite link. This invite link needs to say PWD because that's your password. That means that if anybody uses this link, it's automatically going to give them the passcode to enter this event. You want that, or else you're going to get a million messages of what's the passcode for this meeting, and it's very annoying to everyone involved. So definitely snag this link, and this is how you're going to be able to create. So definitely copy this link, and this is how you're going to be able to create this event moving forward for all of your group coaching sessions. Next, you need to create the event. It's good to do this inside of something like Skool, where you can house all of your paid clients, and they know just to check the calendar tab anytime there's a new event, so that they're aware of any group coaching that's coming up in the future. It needs a clear title, a cover photo, and also that Zoom link and passcode for easy access. Next, you need to prep the session. And so I would recommend that you follow a core group's coaching session structure. I'm going to outline mine for you now. And then as you go, as you evolve, you're going to be able to make the structure more and more yours, but this will at least get you started. So the first thing that I typically do when my clients enter the Zoom room is I share wins. So when you're outlining your structure, it can look a little bit like this. So I ask them, hey, what's one of the biggest wins you've had since last week? It can be big or small, bring them all. I just want to hear of the momentum that you're gaining in your business. Or I might ask them to share what they're grateful for today. So after that, I'll typically open up with a breathwork session, something that's like 5 minutes long, or we could do a type of meditation, just something to really ground into the present moment. So whatever that looks like for you, I think that's really helpful. The next piece to this is hosting some type of lesson. This is usually 10 to 15 minutes long. And the reason this is so powerful is you can go deep on one specific topic, but not overwhelm your listeners. One of the biggest mistakes that I made when I was first starting group coaching is I would have an hour-and-a-half long session and I would create slides and feel like I had a deep dive on a specific topic the entire time. And what that did was provided information overload where my clients would leave with a lot of notes, a lot of things to do, but with nothing actually done. Next element in this is you have either a workshop where they're going to implement something to leave with a tangible result from your lesson. Maybe you could do some journaling to help them do some inner reflection of the topic that you've just opened up for them, or a type of breakout room where you can introduce them to their other community members and have them go deeper with each other. So I like to look at this phase as helping them implement the thing that they just learned. And then lastly, I always love to end with a Q&A just to make sure that if there's any questions on the lesson itself, we cover that, or any questions in general that are holding someone back from getting their specific result. That's typically the flow of my coaching sessions. And I find this structure is really valuable because they get opportunity to connect with me. They can do hot seats, they can do Q&As, they get to do a master class. So it feels really well-rounded where there's community engagement, they get to learn from me, and they also get to ask any questions as well. So I just feel like this is the best structure so that they're not just leaving with a bunch of notes, but they actually leave with something tangible implemented in their business once we get off that call. So lastly is just a reminder. This could be automated, or you can go ahead and send out your clients a reminder the day before your coaching session. Just make sure that they have it in their calendar and they're ready to show up and they have that Zoom link. So just mention it on your coaching calls, like when the next one is, if it's irregular, or in your weekly reminder post, just to make sure that all your clients get access to that event. Little bonus here for organization strategies. What I do is I have one Google Doc page that has this structure inside of it at the top, and it also has ideas for future coaching sessions listed there. And then what I do is I write the date, and then I add that outline below the date of the session, and I just constantly add to the top of that. Why that's really nice is I can scroll back through and see all of my latest coaching sessions so that I don't, seem repetitive. I can also make them teach one thing after another, and it just all flows together a lot more seamlessly. And I can also pull that for content for social media as well. So it's pretty nice just to be organized in your process as well. So phase 2 is what's going to happen during the group coaching session. So I'm going to break this down from Zoom tech skills to recording tips to engagement techniques. So when it comes to Zoom tech skills, I'm going to walk you through exactly how you can share your screen right now. So you would just toggle over here to screen. Now there's multiple options. If you share your entire screen, they're going to be able to see things that are happening everywhere in your desktop. So what we want to do, a more professional looking way to do this, is you actually just snag this here. That's it. So you would just be able to share one of your screens by doing this. Okay, and as soon as you press share, it's going to share. If you need them to hear your sound, make sure that you toggle here, share sound, or else they're not going to be able to hear your sound. This might be important if you need to walk them through showing them how to use tools or resources, or going to share your screen to show them a presentation or a type of skill that they need to learn, and they need to see what you're doing behind the scenes. There's also a way that you can share sound only. This is really helpful when you're getting a call fired up and you're bringing them into the room. I love to have fun, energetic music playing, and so the way that I do that is I share my sound only. This could also be great if you're sharing a meditation or that breathwork session that I was talking about before. You just share your sound only. So let's say we want this to be the song that plays. What I would do is go to Zoom and press share, advanced, computer audio. Press share. Now you're sharing your computer sound with everybody who's in your Zoom room. Now if you want to pause, you just pause this here. Now what you can do if you want to stop sharing your sound is you can just press this X here. There also might be times where you want to use a whiteboard. Maybe you want to draw something out, or you want to type to your clients live. Zoom also has a whiteboard feature where you're going to be able to do this. It's really helpful if you're teaching more presentation style or in the lesson or Q&A of your experience. Whiteboard feature is happening here. You just press new whiteboard and it's going to open up like this. You can just really play around with this and see all the features, but you can draw stuff, you can show what needs to happen here, whatever you want to do. You just use the whiteboard here, and when you're done, you can play with all the things around here. I won't go into that, but that's how you open up the whiteboard and use it. Then you can press X. And then I'm going to walk you through how to create breakout rooms. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can either create breakout rooms and have the universe pair your clients up with who they're meant to be with. You just need to make sure that you have counted the people who are in the room so that you have the proper amount of people assigned to each breakout room. There's also a way that you can manually assign breakout rooms to specific people. Just make sure that if you have Fathom note takers in the room, you don't add those to your rooms, or it's going to mess up your count. So you want to be able to create breakout rooms and also bring people back from those breakout rooms efficiently during your call, and that should be a really smooth, streamlined process. You press breakout room down here. What I like to do is I like to press assign automatically, because this is going to automatically pair people up without you having to think about it. I think it's good because you always end up with who you're meant to be with. And I don't like to be the one who facilitates that because the universe knows better than I with who they should be with. So I like to assign automatically. The one thing that you're going to want to pay attention to, let's say you have 6 people in the room. One's you and one's your fathom. That means that you have 4 other people. If you want 2 people in each room, you need 2 rooms. So you kind of got to do a little bit of math here. Or you can keep scrolling until you hit the number of rooms that makes it the correct amount of participants per room down here at the bottom. So that would mean that you, in that situation, would need 2 rooms. So you would press 2, and then you would open up the room and press create. Now, if you ever need to move people to different rooms, I could press move to room 1, and I've just moved this person to the different room. Okay, so if someone doesn't show up or whatever, you need to move things around. It's really good to keep your eye on this to make sure that people are with the correct amount of people, because sometimes you'll have somebody who says they're going to join a breakout room, they never actually do it, so then your numbers get all off. So you might at times need to move people around, and that's okay. Now, once we do that, we can press open all rooms. Now, all of your notifications are going to be reminded that they need to then go to that room. And what you as the host can do, you can either hang out here in the main room area, just like this. I would just make sure that your audio is off and your camera is off, depending on what you're doing. Or you can go around to these different breakout rooms and you can kind of pop in and out of room and see what's going on there. So let's say I just want to join room 1 and just kind of be a fly on the wall. I don't like to interrupt or participate at all when my community members are inside of breakout rooms, but I like to be that fly on the wall, just hearing and understanding what's going on with them right now. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you'll press join. Now I'm joining room 1, and now you'll see that I'm with my fathom, which I placed in this room. Okay, now if you want to go back here, there's a couple things that I typically do. I have a timer with me during breakout sessions. So what I'll do is I'll set the timer for however long we need in that session. And when we've got a bit of time left, so usually about 1 minute left, I'll put 1 minute to switch, or I'll put switch, right? If it's time for them to switch or it's their partner's turn, and I'll send that out. And a broadcast message is going to message in the chat all of your members. So all at once, you can just be messaging every single person who's live on that call. Okay. As far as breakout rooms, that's really all I feel like you need to know. When you're ready to be done, you can just press close all rooms, and then it's going to give them a 60-second countdown. Some people could leave the breakout room and end up in your channel early. Other people, it might take a little bit longer. You could play some music and kind of build the hype while you're waiting. But that's how you host a breakout room. This is great for if you want them to do like a paired interview together, or if you want them to deep dive on maybe some journal questions, or really just brainstorm their action plan. Whatever that thing is, just good to bring the community together. And they always come back full face of smiles after a breakout room. As far as recording this session goes, I really don't use Zoom's internal recording feature, but what I do is I have Fathom AI in the room with me, and what that does is it provides an auto summary of the entire recording, and it also gives me a very simple share link. So instead of having to download my episode from Zoom, upload it to YouTube as unlisted, and then share that in my community, all I do is just snag the Fathom Zoom recording link, and I turn it into a element inside of my coaching program that people can go back and refer to that replay. In regards to engagement techniques, a few things that I found that work really well. You know, in the beginning when they're sharing their wins, they're sharing those in the chat. You're going through and you're reading them out loud. You're getting everybody fired up. You're playing music. If you ever notice the energy's a little bit low, you could even have them stand up and like shake a little or jump up and down. You know, it's just really reading the room, I think, is really important. A couple things that I've noticed work really well is if you encourage them to type in the chat. Now, you've probably been on a Zoom call where somebody's doing this a little bit too much. Okay, so we don't want to go overkill with the amount of times that they're sharing in the chat. But I do feel like it's relevant for you to be able to tailor where your journey is taking them, or tailor your lesson specifically to the things that they're struggling with right now. So I just got off a group call a little bit earlier, and I said, hey, what's the number one thing that you're struggling with in terms of the content that you're sharing on Instagram? And so I got in the chat what their number one struggles were. And so then I was able to tailor the lesson to specifically solve for that problem, right? And that also made it easier for me to come up with examples and stories because I just pulled from the chat and tailored my lesson to that. And so much of your content that you're actually teaching in your lesson can come from the chat, and it'll just spark something inside of you, and you can just riff and teach from that. And then along the way, it's like, have you ever struggled with that? Or if you're in the Q&A section and somebody's struggling with something, they're sharing their expertise, it's like, hey, drop a 1 in the chat if this resonates with you too. Or drop a me in the chat if you've ever felt this way. And it's making sure that people aren't zoning out. right? Another thing that I love to do when I'm in a group coaching session is I'll call people out. So if I'm giving an example, I did this earlier too. It was like, yeah, if I'm on Instagram and I'm like, hey, Chad, hey, Lucy, hey, Sarah, and I'm pulling people's names from the chat, you see them tune in so much more because I've just said their name. So now they're like, oh, I better be listening now. Jamie's calling on me, right? So saying people's name frequently is a great way to make sure that they're paying attention. I also make sure that I ask people, hey, unless you're driving naked or showering, please turn your camera on. Don't be a lurker in the background. I want you to be here. I want you to be present. You've committed to being here right now, so let's be here. So turn your camera on and join the group, right? Call them out on that, right? Or if you're going to do something like breakout rooms and somebody has their camera off, say, hey, Jessica, your camera's off. I'm going to put you in the waiting room. You have 30 seconds to turn your camera back on or else you're going to be in the waiting room. And I will literally put people in the waiting room if their camera is off and we're about to start a breakout room. Okay, so just little things like that to boost the engagement, right? Cameras on, engaging in the chat, calling on people's names, getting the energy up through things like music and jumping up and down, things like that. And then lastly, when you're going to do a Q&A, what used to happen was people would type question in the chat. And then what happens when they're engaging in the chat is then the chat gets lost. Now you're just like scrolling and now you're distracted. And so the easiest way to keep a Q&A really clean is to actually use the raise hand feature inside of Zoom. If you see the reactions button down at the bottom of the screen, click that. There's going to be a thing that says raise hand. Or if you stand here long enough and do this, it's actually going to raise your hand for you. So if you have gestures turned on, that's probably the easier way to do it. So just ask people, hey, if you have got a question, go ahead and click that raise hand feature or just raise your hand physically. And it's going to put them in a queue at the top of the screen and in the order at which they raise their hand. So you can go through it methodically and make sure that nobody gets missed by the chat covering up the Q&As. So in phase 3, we're talking about a post-call process. So it's really broken down into 3 phases or 3 steps. Replay distribution, creating a replay post, and then community follow-up. So when it comes to replay distribution, what I do is simply copy the Fathom summary and highlights, and I'll turn that into a post inside of my community. This is hosted inside of our group coaching section of our community. You're going to copy the summary and highlights from the Fathom post, and you're actually going to just create a lesson inside of your community, directing them back to the replay. I house this inside of a course called Group Coaching, and it's broken down into how we've organized this is there's a folder with the month. There's also a folder that says FAQ for frequently asked questions. And there's another folder for past group coaching sessions. And so let's say it's April 1st. I just did a coaching session today. What I would do is I would put April 1st, the name of the coaching session, and then inside of that, I would copy and paste the Fathom summary. And I would also add a link to watch the recording. This is all housed in the group coaching course inside of Skool. Why this is important is now my clients know that if they ever miss a section, they can go into that group coaching course and they're able to find any of the past sessions for them to catch up to speed. Now, after that's already been posted, I'll create a replay post directing to that content. This is important because if you had any CTAs inside of your coaching call, or you wanted to hold any of your clients accountable to doing the work that you already started or opened up together, you can have that comment below in that post. So I love that because it's just a way to keep your community coming back together and continue leaning on each other for support and accountability. So I make a post or a comment to spark further conversation. So insights, takeaways, accountability. I tag attendees and really just encourage them to share what they learned. And this really reminds people who aren't showing up to group coaching as well that they should be going to those calls, and maybe they'll prioritize it better next week because there's a little bit of FOMO involved there. When they see other people engaged in the community and they're not showing up, it helps the stickiness and it helps them show back up to those calls. So if you want to experience what a high impact group session actually feels like, we host a free monthly masterclass inside of our community. You'll learn how to scale, systemize, and streamline your business without the hustle. So click the link in the description and you can be able to join our free community and you'll get access to our next live coaching session. And I hope to see you inside.